Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the process where we're going to be getting buckets for the December 1st, 2016 NBA slate. My name is Stephen Porter. You can follow me on Twitter at Stephen Porter Jr. We only have a 6-game slate today, but there is a lot to cover in these 6 games. Let's go ahead and start with clearly the game to target tonight. The Houston Rockets are on the road at the Golden State Warriors. Warriors are 11.5-point favorites here. Totals at 231.5. Obviously, we have some clear targets for Golden State here. They should score a ton of points. Their team total set at 121.5. Kevin Durant is the main guy I'm looking to target here. Houston has just been getting destroyed by wing players. Trevor Ariza was a decent defender like 6 years ago. Not at all concerned about targeting him with Kevin Durant. KD is definitely the first guy I want to be putting on most of my rosters, definitely both of my cash teams. Steph Curry, just as in play, cash or tournaments. Maybe a little bit of hesitation just because Patrick Beverley should be chasing him around for most of this game, but it's Steph Curry we're talking about here. He's going to get his shots off against anyone, so not too worried about that. Comfortable with playing him in cash games or tournaments. I think you could play both Durant and Steph tonight in the same lineup, assuming that Houston keeps this game close. Houston has definitely been better as a team than I thought they would be coming into the season. But Golden State is kind of they're really hitting another gear right now. I'm a little bit worried about them actually running away with this game because they match up kind of well with what Houston does. They got a bunch of perimeter defenders they could throw at Harden. Clay and Draymond, both definitely tournament targets. These are guys that I'll just never really play in cash. I don't feel comfortable with their floors, even in this amazing game. But I think that you could get them maybe a little under-owned for the ceiling that they're going to carry in this game. So definitely strong tournament targets. You probably want some exposure to them at the very least if you're going to make a handful of lineups. So Durant and Steph, definitely cash games. If I'm picking one of them, I'm going Durant. But I wouldn't talk you off of Steph at all. And then Clay and Draymond in tournaments. I think you could play Andre Iguodala kind of as a punt here, but I'm just not ever particularly interested in playing him. But I could definitely see this as a game where he needs to play a lot and is pretty engaged and does kind of fill up the stat sheet in all categories. So I definitely think he's in play. But there's just so much other value that we'll get to here later on the slate. On the other side of the ball, it's the James Harden show. We know what we're getting out of James. Mid-30s usage, tons of assists, probably a double-double candidate here. Maybe a triple-double candidate. I wouldn't be surprised to see him under 10 rebounds, though, just given the matchup, but certainly always in his range of outcomes. Given his price point, again, I want to go back to it's never a good idea to project blowouts in the NBA. Burned me last night trying to do it with the Memphis game. Just not a good strategy. More often than not, the games will remain competitive at least long enough for the main guys to get their numbers. But Harden's price point is a little discouraging. He's $1,800 more than any other player on Draftkings. And I think there's a floor in this game if Golden State should run away with it and maybe be up by 20 going into the fourth quarter. I think Harden is more of a tournament target today, and I think if you're going to play Harden, you definitely have to bring him back with either Durant or Steph or both. I think stacking all three of them and then just playing all the value guys is kind of a legitimate play here. And I also wouldn't mind stacking Harden with Capella. I think Capella is going to have a really strong game here at the rim if Houston is able to stay competitive in this game. If Houston has one edge over Golden State here, it's going to be Capella at the rim. I think Capella is mobile enough to play the 5 when Golden State goes small. Nene is not going to play. This is definitely not a Nene game. so it kind of makes sense to rest him. Not sure how many minutes Montrezl Harrell gets here off the bench, so I think you could see kind of like maybe 30 to 35 minutes of Capella. Definitely a strong double-double candidate, maybe a couple blocks. Maybe wouldn't play him in cash, but definitely I think he's a strong tournament play. He's actually, I think, a pretty strong cash target on FanDuel, where I think he's only 5.9K. That's a really low price for him in this game. And Eric Gordon is the only other guy I would consider for Houston. Not playing Ariza, not playing Ryan Anderson, not playing any of these guys. If I'm targeting anybody from Houston, it's Harden, Capella, or Gordon. Gordon's seeing legitimate usage off the bench. Not a guy I'm just falling over myself to roster, but I mean, I could see him having a strong game here just because of the way this game should shake out. So Gordon definitely in play. I think a Harden and Capella tournament stack and then bring it back with like Durant and then maybe Clay to save a little salary and get him under-owned. Like maybe if Beverly does manage to funnel some of the shots away from Steph into Clay's hands, you might be able to get a little, like an under-owned stack of Durant, Clay, Harden, and Capella that could really blow up in this game. So Durant, my favorite cash target. Capella is probably my favorite points per dollar play from Houston. Can't argue with Harden's upside, but there's just other guys on the slate I think I'd rather pay for, and he's just too expensive with the downside I think he might be carrying here. Definitely going to be exposed to him in tournaments. You can't just full fade Harden in this matchup. And if you do play him in tournaments, you got to bring him back with probably Durant and or Steph, Clay, Draymond on the other end. Next game that we're going to be looking at here is going to be the Los Angeles Clippers traveling to face the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs are only 3.5 point favorites here. Totals 215.5, 16 points lower than the Houston Golden State game. So that game is just clearly head and shoulders above any other game on the slate. I'm not entirely sure what to do with this game. LeBron James' price has come way down. Totally blew up on a bunch of people who rostered him in cash against Milwaukee, myself included. He was very heavily owned, I think like 30+% there. Definitely a strong tournament target. I think this game has a strong chance of going under the total. Cleveland has not been great defensively on the year, 104 defensive rating. Clippers have 99 defensive rating, which has come up a lot from there. I think they were hovering around 95 to start the year. But we've kind of seen Cleveland can lock in and play shutdown defense pretty much anytime they want to. And this could be one of those games where they're kind of jazzed up here to play kind of one of maybe their main competitors in the league, and they kind of come out and just shut down everything that the Clippers do. And I think the Clippers match up pretty well defensively on the first unit with Cleveland. So I think there's potential for this game to be a little underwhelming from a fantasy perspective. There's also potential for it to really shoot out here because both of these teams are able to get up and down the floor and have success offensively. I think LeBron is definitely a strong tournament target because he should be under-owned. His price has come down. Luka Mute is a little bit of a deterrent, but I mean, LeBron James is LeBron James, and nobody stops him when he is on his game. Should come out focused after he totally blew it against Milwaukee. I think J.R. Smith is a really interesting tournament target, only 3.9K on DraftKings. I think that you can target shooting guards against the Clippers. Not worried about J.J. Redick at all. This is the kind of game where if J.R. Smith is going to be engaged, he can go like 7 of 9 from the 3-point line and give you 35 plus DraftKings points. Wouldn't trust him in cash, but definitely a strong tournament target. I mean, he's just so cheap, and there's definitely a lot of upside for him in this matchup. So somebody I wouldn't mind targeting in tournaments. Kevin Love has kind of shown the most consistent floor for any of these Cleveland guys. He's going to rebound. He's actually producing pretty well in the defensive categories, scoring the ball really well. Tough matchup with Blake, but he could definitely get there. Definitely a tournament target. I'm just not sure I want to use any of these guys in cash. I think I'd rather pay up for the guys from the Houston Golden State game. Kyrie Price is pretty low, 7.4K on Draftkings, but he has the tough individual matchup with CP3. Not sure he's going to do a whole lot other than score in this game. And yeah, sure, he could score 30 points, but is he really going to do enough otherwise to really pay off that salary? I just don't see it. I think I'd rather target LeBron, JR, and Love in this matchup. Not really looking at anybody else from the Cleveland side of the ball. Going on to the Clippers side, really interested in CP3 here. We've seen the main points from the other teams facing Cleveland really roast the Clippers or the Cavaliers here recently. Saw Giannis absolutely toast him in that last game. A little bit of a different player than CP3 is, but I think Chris Paul definitely has the easiest avenue to success against Cleveland here. I think he's a strong tournament target. Wouldn't hate playing him in cash. I'm probably going to go elsewhere, but I think he's a cash target. Blake Griffin, want to say he's a strong cash target. Usage should be there. Again, just maybe better points per dollar plays on the slate, but definitely a guy I think that could get you there one way or another in cash or tournaments. So those two guys, very interesting. I think you could stack them both with like LeBron and then maybe JR to save a little bit of salary and then kind of build out from there. I think probably the strongest tournament stack here would be maybe CP3, bringing it back with LeBron. Just because LeBron's ownership should be a little bit down and his price is down. So I think both those guys could kind of blow up in this game, and then you could kind of fill in from there. Not really interested in playing anybody else on the Clippers side. JJ Redick's price is just too high for what we're going to expect from him. Not going to do anything but score, and not sure he's going to score enough to pay it off. DeAndre Jordan's usage and rebounding should go way down with Blake back in the lineup and matching up against a much better Cleveland team here. Not the same expectations that we had without Blake against Brooklyn. So I'll let other people pay for him in this spot at the same price point. I would much rather play Rudy Gobert in cash or tournaments. So I'm kind of off pretty much anybody in. Moving on to the next game, we've got the Milwaukee Bucks traveling to face the Brooklyn Nets. Bucks are 5.5-point road favorites here. Total's 215. We know what we're getting on the Milwaukee side. Lots of Giannis. Giannis is putting up a 30% usage rate. Boards, assists, steals, blocks, amazing floor anytime he is on the court. Can't ask for a better matchup here against Brooklyn. The only thing you would be hesitant with is a blowout. I think Milwaukee is a very strong team. I think they're definitely trending in the right direction. Brooklyn is trending down right now. I mean, their entire roster's hurt. They're pretty thin. But again, don't want to project blowouts in the NBA. This is a pace-up game for Milwaukee. Brooklyn's getting off about 5 more possessions per 48 minutes than Milwaukee is. They're also one of the worst teams defensively, 108.6 defensive rating. They just have nobody to challenge Giannis at all. He should do whatever he wants here in this game. And assuming it stays close, he's got an awesome floor ceiling combo here over Harden. Just to go for the savings and maybe a little safety with the floor here. I have the same kind of upside in this matchup. So I'm definitely looking to target Giannis heavily. Jabari, know what you're getting out of him. Has kind of disappointed the last couple of games, so he might go under owned on the season. Wouldn't be surprised to see him get over in this matchup. Probably giving up 4 to 5. Use his quickness, and Jabari is quicker than Booker is, so Booker really has nothing to stop him with. Jabari should see plenty of offensive success, should be able to hit the glass pretty easily. A couple defensive statistics, maybe a couple assists. I think he could definitely get you there. His prices come in this spot. I think you could play both of them. Combined, they're usually going to be 50 and 60 for their usage rate. Lineup. Milwaukee are kind of tough. Malcolm Brogdon and Michael B. I like to play Matthew Dellavedova. B in like when blowout. If Milwaukee would run away from, I don't think you can. Maybe something you could do is pair up like that's an interesting tournament stack. Kind of have his Brook Lopez is not somebody we're worried about. And starting lineup, kind of points is something that you can read. If Brooklyn would keep it close and Henson would get to play into the upper 20s and are going to be like behind Giannis and Jabari. I think Henson the third August target behind those two, and I think he's a reasonable target just because of the savings and ceiling combo. Studs in great spots. So I think if I'm and I think that Beasley and are interesting tournament plays if you fade the on the other side of the ball for Brooklyn. Last game against the Clippers had a lot of offensive success. A little bit of a different matchup here with Giannis. Giannis is somebody I don't really want not a whole lot of guys to be taking shots away from him. Everybody's banged up on Brooklyn. And one thing to monitor here, Brooklyn played. Brook Lopez played 43 minutes. Definitely want to make sure he's actually does give Kilpatrick that. For Brooklyn to stay close in this game, it's going to have to be on Kilpatrick's back. Really strong tournament play would be playing Giannis and Kilpatrick. If Brook Lopez does play a bit in the last game, but that's just because Kilpatrick was taking so many shots. He's always going to be kind of between 20 and 30, usually closer to 30. Ton of rebounding success. Again, I don't think this is the best matchup for him, but definitely somebody that could see. Don't think that's going to change a whole lot. Still think Sean Kilpatrick's going to be. Yeah, but Rondae Hollis Jefferson not really doing a whole lot for me. Doesn't take a lot of defensive end help keep them in this game. So if I'm playing anybody from the Nets and cash, it's going to be Kilpatrick. I maybe play like Giannis, Jabari, and Henson, and then bring it back with Kilpatrick. There's a precipitous drop-off 95. I think this game is going to stay a little. No, game with Darren Williams as bunnies. You're for him playing like upper 20s minutes and him getting there with a high usage and efficiency. I don't want to play any of these guys. Here, it's just I'm probably gonna get off of him, but I don't think they're cash targets. Andrew Bogut is ruled out in this game. Guys that Charlotte's probably going to play at the 5 a lot. I would trust Carlisle to have him out there playing. Assuming that we can get like 30 to 35 minutes combined out of Cody Zeller. Salam Majri is kind of a lock for like 30 to 35 minutes and probably 25 plus. Might only play like 15 or 20 minutes in this game. I might be more comfortable playing Henson in cash, paying up a little bit. If you thought that he was definitely going to get his 30 minutes here, I can in the live final last year, so I'm a little. I could definitely see him getting there, and I could see him not getting. I'd probably say closer to his ceiling than not. So he's at least in play for tournaments. Back from his poor outing last game. And Barnes or Dwight Powell, whoever he's going to see. Kemba is always their strongest target, always going to see around. Majri if I really want to kind of punt at the center position. Magic visiting. here, totals at 185. Memphis was horrible. They all posted individual, all their guys that played posted individual defensive ratings between 25 and 145. I think that you can project them to have much more success than their 95.6 offensive rating on the year. We never know where their minutes. DJ Augustine in the lineup. Nick Vucevic is their usage leader at 25.4. He's averaging minutes per game, but he's usually tough to call it. I think he matches up well with the Memphis. He might come in closer to the 35 minutes. Orlando, never know what Vogel's going to do with his rotations. Last game against San Diego, it was more Bismack and Ibaka. I could see it swinging back towards Vucevic here, so I definitely think Vucevic is a strong. He's got a really nice ceiling at a 6.1K price point. I'm sure he'll be crazy owned. Definitely think it's a profitable spot if he around 35 minutes because I expect him to put up probably like 1.3, maybe 1.5 Draftkings points per minute here. Evan Fournier has been second in usage at 24%. He's got the highest minutes floor total here. He's usually playing mid 30s minutes. I think if you want to target him in cash games, I could do it. I think I'd rather go with Kilpatrick at the price point, but I can see the argument for Fournier in the matchup. Definitely think he's going to be a strong tournament target because I think he's carrying a little bit of a ceiling here, and I don't think he'll be heavily owned. So definitely get some Fournier in your portfolio if you're playing a lot of tournament lines. Elfrid Payton, another guy that's interesting, 22.8 usage rate. His minutes have been curbed a little bit because he's coming off the bench, but he's got some really strong low-owned tournament upside here at 5K on DraftKings. Again, it's going to be hard for me to play any of the Orlando guys in cash, but I think Vucevic, Fournier, Elfrid, all interesting tournament targets. Same thing with Serge Ibaka. His usage is really fluctuating up and down here, but he could come in a little higher. I think if anybody is going to lose minutes out of the big man rotation, it'd probably be Biyombo because he doesn't really need to be out banging with anyone in the post. Memphis isn't going to play that way. They're going to spread it out and kind of shoot the three ball. So I think that Vucevic and Ibaka are the most likely bigs to get up into the mid-30s minutes here for Orlando. So I think Ibaka, Vucevic, Fournier, Elfrid all in play. I'm not too high on Aaron Gordon, DJ Augustine, or Jeff Green. Definitely not high on Jeff Green. But so I think those four guys are the most interesting targets from Orlando, and I think they're guys that you really want to target because I think they could have increased offensive efficiency today. Coming back on the Memphis side of the ball, totally swung and missed on the cap of Memphis getting blown out last time and kind of targeting all their reserve guys. I don't mind being a day late to this party and coming back and getting on all the guys that we saw have success in the last game. So we saw Andrew Harrison start, play 35 minutes, have a 20.6% usage rate, and put up a 76.3% true shooting percentage, which was a huge, huge swing from what he had been posting. So if he can make shots, he's a guy you gotta have on your rosters, cash and/or tournament target for sure today. The issue that I have in this game is that it should be very slow paced. Both teams play around 95 possessions per 48 minutes, and Orlando has been really sneakily good on the defensive end, 101.3% efficiency on the defensive rating so far this year, and I mean they've just been shutting teams down recently. I don't watch a whole lot of Orlando games, so I don't really understand how they're doing this. I don't see any kind of plus individual defenders that they're running out there a whole lot, but they're getting it done as a team. So that's giving me pause when targeting any of the Memphis guys here. I know there's probably going to be value just because of all of the guys that are out again tonight, but there's definitely some trepidation with with targeting any of these guys heavily. But that said, I think Andrew Harrison's a good play, assuming he can continue to shoot well. And I think even in a blowout, he should probably see mid-30s minutes because Wade Baldwin. I guess Wade Baldwin and him didn't share the court a whole lot. I would like to think that they would even in a blowout, but I guess we'll see. Kind of tough to cap here with Memphis having a brand new kind of set of rotations here. So Andrew Harrison, I think, is a strong target at his price point. JaMychal Green is the next guy that we want to look at. Saw 34 minutes in the last game. Usage jumped up to about 19.6. He can play the 3. He can play the 4. I think he's a good bet for mid-30s minutes again. His price point is really low. He's my second favorite target along with Harrison in this game. And like I said, his ownership should definitely come way up. But I think he is a strong points per dollar target. Good floor ceiling combination along with Harrison. Just the only thing I'm worried about is the fact that Orlando is playing really strong defense. I mean, they shut down the Spurs in their last game. I think they posted like an 85 defensive rating against the Spurs, and the Spurs are obviously a much better offensive team than Memphis is at this point. So not that will necessarily translate into the same kind of defensive success tonight, but something I am kind of considering. Marc Gasol saw 35 minutes last game, only saw 19% usage, which is actually way down from what he had been seeing. I think Mike Conley not in the lineup and then probably not playing as much two-man game between Conley and Gasol and getting him those wide open looks from 3 might hurt his usage a little bit. I'm not really interested in playing him at all tonight. If he's gonna burn me. That's fine. I'd rather go down to like a Rudy Gobert or come up to probably Hassan or something like that. So I'm not too interested in Gasol. I think you can look at Troy Daniels. Troy Daniels had a 29.8% usage rate last game. Still cheap. Kind of probably same deal. He's probably going to play 20 to 25 minutes in this game, put up a bunch of 3s. If he hits them, he's going to help you. If he doesn't, you're out of luck. Don't think he's a cash target. Think you could play him in tournaments. Same kind of thing with Troy Williams, 23.8% usage. Going to chuck a bunch of 3s. If they go in, awesome. If not, a little bit of a floor there. And I will have to play at least one lineup, assuming a blowout here, where Wade Baldwin and Jarrell Martin get it going, because I was all over them last game, and they saw no minutes and no usage. It was like low 20s minutes, and I think their usage was under 20. So, but if they would get blown out in this game by Orlando, which is kind of tough to cap, but if it happened, I could see it happening. Those guys might get a bunch of run and shots off the bench. So, and probably nobody going to use them after they were so poor last game. So those guys are interesting tournament targets. If I'm playing anybody in cash from Memphis, it's going to be Harrison or JaMychal. And I think they're both reasonable targets one way or another in this game. I don't think there's a whole lot of downside at their price points, given that they should see at least like 30 minutes and a 20+% usage rate in this game. I just think it's a little... I think you should exercise a little bit of caution with targeting Orlando's defense. On to the last game of the slate. We've got the Miami Heat traveling to visit the Utah Jazz. Total is 187.5. The same kind of thing in this game. We got a bunch of guys out. Not sure what to do with their offensive efficiency projections. I think George Hill is a huge loss. He's going to be out tonight. Rodney Hood's questionable with a hamstring. I'm assuming he doesn't play. Hamstrings are not something that you want to push. Trying to come back too early is only going to make the injury that much worse. We saw that with LaShawn McCoy, if you follow football at all, earlier this year. So it would be wise for the Jazz not to play Rodney Hood, and I'm going to assume they don't play Rodney Hood. So Hayward, Favors, and Hill, Favors, and Hood should all be out in this game. I took a look at the net ratings of Hayward and Gobert. They're the other two starters without George Hill in the lineup. Hayward's net rating is 12.4 on the year. It's 24.8 when he shares the court with George Hill, and it's only 7.3 in the positives without George Hill. That's obviously a really, really big swing. Same thing with Gobert, 12.3 on the year, only 16.1 when he shares the court with George Hill, and only 7.8 when he does not share the court with George Hill. So I think this team is just much worse without Hill in the lineup. I think it's a huge blow. I think Miami should definitely stay competitive. I think we can tick up the projections for their offensive efficiency without Hill in the lineup. So I think this game should stay competitive. I think it has potential to go over the total here. Utah is actually a really good offensive team even without all these guys in the lineup. So I think that they could definitely give up their points, but I think they might also or score their points, but also give up points to Miami. So I'm actually pretty interested in this game. I think Gordon Hayward is an awesome target here. Nobody that I'm worried about on the Miami side of the ball. Winslow's going to be out again in this game, and Hayward is seeing a 32.6% usage rate without Hill, Favors, and Hood in the lineup. So he should be the go-to guy. I think he could play upper 30s minutes. I think he could see like a 35 to 40% usage rate in this game. I think that's a reasonable expectation if all those three guys are not playing, because he will definitely be the guy with the ball in his hands if this game is going to be close, trying to close it out. I think he's an awesome cash and or tournament target on both sites. A guy I'm really looking to target pretty heavily tonight. Second highest usage without those three guys in the lineup has been Trey Lyles at 25%. Not sure where to project his minutes. I think he could get up to 30 minutes in this game. I think it kind of projects well for him. He matches up well with Derek Williams. He matches up well with James Johnson. If they're going to play him at the 4, he matches up well with Luke Babbitt. So I definitely think he could get a lot of run at the expense of Boris Diaw. Diaw, I don't know that he matches up real well with all those other guys. I'm not really looking to play Lyles in cash because I just am not 100% sure that he'll get 25, 30 minutes. But I think he's a good tournament target because if he does, I think he could see a bunch of volume and efficiency in this game. So I think we could kind of project him for like 30 plus Draftkings points if he's going to play 30 minutes tonight, which I think is in his range of outcomes. And if I have to guess, I think he's going to come in a little closer to his ceiling tonight. I think Joe Johnson is another guy that could pick up some of the offensive slack. We kind of saw that earlier in the year when these three guys missed time. Joe Johnson posted a 19.6% usage rate. I think it's a possibility that he plays over 30 minutes tonight and scores 25 to maybe even like a ceiling of 35 Draftkings points. He's only like 4K, so I think he's a strong target in tournaments for sure. Not sure I trust it in cash games with all the other value tonight, respectively, but I could definitely see targeting in cash games if you felt good about it and you wanted to go there. I wouldn't talk you off of it because I think he'll see the minutes and shots and efficiency that he's going to need to pay off that really low price tag. Dante Exum has an 18.1% usage rate when these three guys aren't in the lineup. He should start tonight. It's been reported that he will start, just need confirmation there, but he's the obvious candidate. He's a much better defender than Shelvin Mack is. He's the obvious candidate to start here. Not quite the player that George Hill is, but I like Exum. I think he's a good ball player, but it's not going to stop me from targeting Dragic. Joe Ingles and Shelvin Mack are the other two guys to mention on the Utah side of the ball. Mack's got a 19.5% usage rate without those three guys, and Ingles is at 16. I think they could both give you games that are fantasy usable off the bench here, but I'm not going to try to go there. There's just way too much value that I think is a little more solid on the slate. So, Hayward, really strong. Oh, I didn't mention Gobert. Love Gobert tonight. Think he's a strong cash and or tournament target, even against Hassan. I think he's almost like a lock to give you 35 plus Draftkings points. And I think he's got up to like a 45, 50 point ceiling in this game. I think he's going to play a ton of minutes if this game stays close, which I think it will. And really strong double-double candidate, probably going to get a couple block shots in there. So definitely a guy I don't mind targeting in cash or tournaments. I think Hayward and Gobert are definitely the two strongest targets. I think the next two guys I'd be looking at are Lyles or Joe Johnson. I could see punting with Exum at 3K, but again, probably not going to go there. I'm not interested in Diao, Mack, and Ingles as really long shot punts, but not going there either. On to the other side of the ball, we've seen Hassan Whiteside's usage really trend up without Dion Waiters in the lineup. Got kind of bailed out by him last night with all the late news, ended up on him in cash, and he really paid off. His price has come down a lot. They've really corrected it. They've corrected all of the Miami guys' prices to reflect the fact that they're playing against Utah. But like I just touched on, I don't know that Utah's defense will be as strong without these three key cogs in the lineup. So I think that this might be a really profitable spot to target Miami guys because the prices are down, and I think we can maybe reasonably project them to have reasonable offensive success in this game. So Hassan Whiteside should see mid-20s, maybe upper 20s in usage. A little bit scared off by Gobert, but the fact that his price has come way down to only 8.2K on Draftkings, and he should play a ton of minutes in this game, I think he's a reasonable cash play. Probably rather go Gobert. But if you wanted to play him in cash, I'd say go right ahead. Wouldn't be too. Don't think he's going to draw a whole lot of fouls. I don't see the fouls on each other really at all. I think they should be out there playing a lot. And I mean, I think he's a strong, kind of 25-15 with tournament upside for sure. And I think his on there. But if you want to do it, go ahead. 4% usage rate. That's held pretty steady here. I think you can give him a bump up without Hill in this game in terms of efficiency. Price has come down again to only 6.2K. Definitely a tournaments. I could see playing them in cash. I haven't really settled on a roster yet, but I could definitely see guys making it because I think they minutes and definitely get you there. Tyler Johnson is probably the next guy to look at here. Saw a 25.6% usage rate. The bench last game. That should continue again. I like the match. I think he could have some offensive success here. I think his usage is going to be high. I think the minutes are going to be there. He's a really strong target on FanDuel, where he's only 4.8K. But I think he's going to on draft thing with all these guys. I could see playing him in cash. I'm not sure I will, but definitely want to target tournaments. Wayne Ellington games. Miami's side. Ellington saw 32 minutes in the last game, had a 22.3% usage rate. He's pretty much to take a bunch of shots for sure. Waiters and Richardson, like all those guys are 20 plus usage rate guys. So somebody has to take the shot. Efficiency, but if efficiency to play, I think to include Ellington. 22% usage rate if you can. And again, I'd rather play him over 2. So I like Ellington. Like James Johnson, saw 33 minutes in the last game. Probably going to split minutes between 4 in every single category. Again, saw a 20.4 usage rate. That's kind of like his ceiling. I'm not sure. Same thing on DraftKings. Price is down. FanDuel is the fact that I want to play Durant and Hayward. So you can't get him in there if you're going to play. But if he is super cheap on FanDuel. Anyway, Hassan, Dragic, Tyler Johnson, Ellington, and James Johnson in that order. Really like Hayward Bear on the other side. I think this game's actually a reasonable stack because I think it's going to stay close. All of the main guys are kind of priced pretty attractively, and if it does going to see upper minutes, and even if it goes into overtime, then you're probably sitting pretty good with respect to the field. So that will wrap up the slate. Thank you guys for tuning in, and best of luck for